north of Brownsville. I've got it right here, moving at 13 miles per hour northwest of Uniontown, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So we're watching that storm right here as it moves to the east. Again, this is radar indicated, haven't had a report yet, but we'll, of course, if we get any reports into the newsroom or from the National Weather Service, we'll of course bring that to you. Let me go ahead and we're going to put this into motion. I want you to be able to see how this storm overall is moving, and what you'll notice is the storm itself is moving off to the east at a pretty good pace. Let me drop into here. There we go, and there it is. Now you'll see the storm itself, the whole line itself is moving to the east and it's picking up plenty of moisture, and I'm going to zoom in here. So you've got all kinds of things happening. The blue boxes themselves are flash flood watches. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning, and then of course right there in the middle of that box is where we have the tornado warning itself. So we're watching this line as this has exploded. Watch how it really wasn't much of anything until the last probably 20 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. And again, that has brought us this tornado warning for a cell, again, that it was indicated potentially to have rotation in it and could be capable of producing a tornado. And that is what is going on right now. So we're going to have keep an eye on this storm. Again, moving at a very, very good pace. Let me drop back in here. We'll go to the live radar, and you can see it again in pretty close-up fashion here as it continues to bring up. There we go. This is, oh, look at that. It is pretty impressive. And you'll notice this was not a whole lot all of 20 minutes ago. Plenty of lightning on the outer edge of it. We're still talking about this area right in here. You can see your rouse run. So it was here. Now it's moving to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So again, if you were in the path of that storm, you do want to go ahead and move to a lower area or an internal room. Of course, if you have a basement, that would be a good place to go if you're in the path of this particular storm. And it looks like it may have a pretty good long run because it really just fired up over the last 15 to 20 minutes, which tells me it's still early in its lifespan. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this as it pushes to the east. Now, behind it, we're also seeing some pretty good active weather back here towards Centerville and Brownsville, but it's going to be this leading edge right in here where you're going to see the strongest of the weather, and again, moving at about 20 miles per hour with that tornado. Excuse me, a tornado indication from the radar, and that's what has sparked the National Weather Service to issue that tornado warning. So we're going to back up just a little bit more, and you can see the box here as it moves off to. So again, Connellsville, you're on the very outer edge. We're going to keep our eyes on that as it pushes to the east, and it could be a little while for it to make it there. Again, we're watching this as I drop in on the whole line itself. Look at the expanse of that severe weather right in there. And again, it's this box here. We're watching that storm as it moves to the east, almost directly to the east out of the Blanesburg area. And we're going to continue to keep our eyes on this. We're going to stay here live on this active weather storm here for a while, and just to see if we get any reports. As again, if you are in the path or anywhere in this box near these storms, you definitely want to go ahead and take shelter. Again, best places to be, you want to be down in your basement, or if you don't have a basement, you want to be in an internal room, usually a bathroom is a great place as long as it's not on an exterior wall. You want to be on the inside of that house. Those are your best places to be. Again, if you are anywhere in the path of this storm, as it has fired up and become active enough to produce what is a potential of a tornado on the ground. So we'll keep our eyes on this and wait for any reports of any kind of action we're getting from viewers there on the ground. So I'm going to go back to a little bit of a different view here. And I have to apologize. Again, we're in a temporary studio, so I don't have all of my tools loaded up in here. So we're just kind of trying to make our way through as we keep an eye on this. Again, there is your box, and you can see very, very strong radar returns here, showing you lots and lots of action. We try to watch these areas in here where you're getting that dry air intrusion. Wow, look at that. It's very, very impressive as it's making its way. You can see Rouse Run there. It was originally issued when it was here near Brownsville, but the core of that storm continues to push to the east, and we're going to watch this as it pushes. There's I-50 or Route 51 right along 101 here. And again, if you are in the path of that storm, you definitely want to go ahead and take shelter. shelter, as we are seeing very, very strong convection, potential rotation in there, enough that the National Weather Service did already issue a tornado warning for this storm about 10 minutes ago. And yeah, this is looking impressive here. So you want to keep your eyes on this and again, take shelter in that area. I'm going to back out just a little bit and again, show you what action is happening around it. There is strong weather up here to the north and east moving into Mount Pleasant. Not as well put together. You can see the difference between this and this. This is where the heaviest weather is definitely happening. And yep, I've got the whole weather team messaging me now, letting me know, yes, exactly, we're on air now. We've got that, again, the severe thunderstorm warning right in here, moving to the east. And yeah, so we're going to keep our eyes on this. Where the strongest rotation is going to be in this area. I'm looking to see, again, this is one of the plus minuses of only working like once or twice a month. I'm trying to figure out where I have all of my tools in here, but you get the idea. We're seeing this, this area right in here is where we're going to keep our eyes on as we're seeing that strong convection. Let me go back to an animated radar so you can see how this whole thing is moving. As it moves to the east, we'll show you where it is coming from and how it has developed over the last 15 to 20 minutes. And what we'll see here, yep, I've got Ron messaging right now talking about how it's a decent little hook. Yes, I'm seeing that on the radar too. We're watching this whole thing as it moves east, and you can see how 15, 20 minutes ago it really wasn't much, but then exploded as it moved into the California area, and we're pushing now, again, right here is where they began the tornado warning, and the entire thing is now moving to the east. So this is a strong storm, potentially dangerous storm, again, where the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for the potential of being able to produce a tornado. We have not had any reports yet. But of course, we'll bring those to you immediately as they come in to us here in the newsroom. So let's go back to the live radar one more time. And you can see, fortunately, this thing updates very, very quickly for us. We'll keep an eye out on where the strongest development is. And it looks like, I'm trying to keep my eyes on this here. Yeah, so we're watching it starting to change just a little bit here, but the core of the storm, you can see where your deepest reds here. You got the kind of the areas where you might pick up a little bit of a hook. We're going to keep our eyes on this for you for a little bit of time. But again, it is moving at a fairly rapid pace, 20 to 25 miles per hour to the east, as it was initially indicated back in here just outside of Brownsville. And you can see how far east it has already moved. So if you're in Liberty, you're going to want to keep your eyes on this. Again, you want to take shelter because at the pace that it's moving at, it's going to be overhead in matters of minutes. And we'll see how long the strength of this storm is able to be maintained. Considering the fact of how quickly it fired up on us, this is probably, again, still early in its lifespan. So we're going to want to keep our eyes on this as we make our way through the next 15 to 20 minutes. Probably going to be the strongest part of this storm. So again, out ahead of the storm, Liberty, Connellsville. You are in the path because it's moving at a direction that is almost direct to east or west to east at about 20 miles per hour, and we're picking up lots and lots of lightning. But this is where the core of the storm is here, and we'll just have to see how long this is going to last. Again, we'll drop back out a little bit, and you get an idea of the area out in front of it. So your red box here is your tornado warning. We also have a flood watch, a flash flood watch. That is going to be your blue box. A severe thunderstorm warning is going to be for the entire complex, which includes the tornado warned storm here and the action that is going on up here towards Mount Pleasant. So even if you are not inside that box where you have the tornado warning, do be aware you have the potential for hail, you have the potential for strong gusty winds, heavy downpours. Anywhere inside that orange box, and I'll drop back so you can see that, again, the severe thunderstorm warning area is anything inside that orange box there. So there is strong weather expected in these areas over probably the next hour as this moves off to the east. So I'm just checking out the latest information, see if they've issued anything new on this. And it looks like, yes, we're still moving at about 20 miles per hour. Again, radar indicated rotation. And locations impacted, include Connellsville, South Connellsville, Perryopolis, Dunbar, Everson, and you can see those are the areas we're talking about out ahead of the storm itself as we'll watch this whole thing move off to the east, I should say, from its origination point back here just outside of Brownsville. Like I said, 11 miles northwest of Uniontown is when they first indicated the rotation, and now it continued to move to the east. So again, in these areas here, we're going to move to an animation so you get an idea of the motion of that storm. The whole thing is moving to the east at about 20 miles per hour, strong rain, and again, the radar indicated rotation. And you get this very, very thin line. This is not some huge complex, but it has developed into a very strong part of the storm right in here where you get the red box. And again, this entire area, the orange box here, is all under a severe thunderstorm warning itself, which could mean hail. You could see strong gusty winds, heavy downpours, plenty of active lightning. We've shown you the indicators for that. And back behind it, because we're seeing this line not really move north or south, we are picking up heavy downpours over the same areas, and that's where you get the flash flood warnings extending as far west into Ohio. And so that area here will continue to go for a while as well because of the heavy-duty rain that is coming down from this complex of thunderstorms that have developed. Again, strengthening over the last 20 to 25 minutes now, as you can pick that up here on the radar. We'll zoom back in here again, Mount Pleasant, Connellsville. Keep your eyes on that as this approaches. There is a slight delay with radar. There always is. The radar beam itself, it takes a while and then it processes the data. So what you see is actually about 3 or 4 minutes earlier. That's about the time it takes for the whole radar cycle to run before you actually see it on your screen. So what you're seeing is actually the past by a few minutes. So you get the idea again, if you're in Connellsville, this is rapidly approaching you. And if it hasn't arrived, it will arrive here in a matter of minutes because the speed at which the storm is actually moving is pretty significant. Again, at 20 to 25 miles per hour, which is both good and bad. You get that motion at that kind of speed, it will move in and out quickly. But what it also means is it is packing quite a punch as it moves at a rapid pace. And we're watching this area right in here. Now moving into the Liberty area, you can see your strongest convection. Look at all of the lightning. You can see all of the indicators, the icons back in here. So it is a very strong and well put together storm and that the National Weather Service issued the tornado warning for. Again, this is radar indicated rotation at the time. That does not mean a tornado is on the ground. We're waiting on any kind of reports of that, but it was strong enough and the radar indicator was strong enough that they felt that they needed to issue the tornado warning. And we can see on the radar why they did it. It's very clear. What is going on here is this continues to move off toward the Liberty area. Again, in Connellsville, Dunbar, you are under the threat of this approaching storm. So if you're in those areas, find yourselves moving down into your basement. If you don't have a basement handy, again, interior rooms are places where you want to go. We're talking bathrooms are great. They usually don't have windows, especially if they're in the middle of your room. Interior closets as well that don't have windows. Stay away from windows anytime you have tornado warnings or strong thunderstorms or strong storms headed your direction. You do not want to be near windows that have the chance of shattering and then causing injuries that way. And you can see they are now extending. You can see where they just put this new red box. They have just extended the warning, the tornado warning for that storm, moving it farther east. The old box is here, ending just east of Connellsville. They have now extended that warning to the east, so we'll get more updated information. Let's check that out and see what is going on. Let's see if that has been updated here. I'm looking at all the information. Yep, there it is. Now I can pull that up. Now it looks like yeah, so they've extended that until 5:45. So another half an hour is what they have issued this warning for. And we're now seeing here, yep, severe thunderstorm warning, capable of producing a tornado located 5 miles west of Connellsville. That's what we're showing you here on the radar itself, and moving east now at 25 miles per hour. And again, this is still radar indicated. We have not had an actual eyes on a storm showing an actual thunderstorm. It's going to be a tornado or funnel on the ground, which would make it an actual tornado. A funnel cloud is one that hasn't hit the ground. Once it hits the ground, it does become a tornado. We have not had an actual report of a tornado yet, but again, the Doppler radar is indicating rotation strong enough, and hook in the radar indicator, which tells you that the potential of a tornado is there. So that's the issuing of that tornado warning, and it continues to develop and stay strong, which is why they have extended that tornado warning farther to the east, and for an additional, well, I shouldn't say for an additional, but extending it out to 5:45 tonight, which is another half an hour, and at the pace of 25 miles per hour, you're looking at it covering roughly another 10 to 15 miles on the ground from wherever it is during the next 30 minutes that this warning is going to exist. Again, we're going to go back out. I'm going to go again to a slightly different view. You can see back behind this, lots and lots of rain. That blue box there is the flash flood warning. The orange box is your severe thunderstorm warning. So it's not just a tornado warn areas that need to be mindful of what is going on around them. Anything inside that orange box has the potential for severe thunderstorm activity. What does it take to be a severe thunderstorm? You can have oversized hail. You can end up with strong gusty winds from the storms. You can also have heavy downpours. So we're seeing all of that action take place. You can see these areas in here that are clear indicators of the activity and the strength of the storm. So we're going to keep our eyes on this. Again, we're going to stay here live with you as it moves in toward the Connellsville area. So this is not showing any indications that it is diminishing in strength. Because it fired up very, very rapidly over only about a 15 to 20 minute time frame. So I would say it is still pretty early in its development cycle and is showing signs that it is going to continue at a very high strength, moving to the east at roughly 25 miles per hour. Let's again, we're going to move ahead, go to the moving radar so you can see how this whole thing is tracking to the east, and it is moving at a pace at about 25 miles per hour. Again, let me just make sure I get my stuff loaded up here correctly so this will show properly for me. There we go. And what we're going to see here is, again, a pace at which is moving rapidly and staying strong. There we go. Right here, we're going to wrap this up here. We've got a strong thunderstorm here. Fully inundating the Liberty area and moving towards Connellsville, again, at a pace of 25 miles per hour. Connellsville, this should be in overhead. If it's not, you're not on the outer edge of it now, you will probably see it here in the next 2 to 3 minutes, because again, there is a slight delay in from when the actual radar beam hits that storm to when we can put it on air because of the time it takes to process the data. So what you're seeing is about 3 to 4 minutes ago. And so again, overhead on Liberty, headed towards Connellsville, radar indicating they did just recently extend the tornado warning out here to the east. You can see it's not here yet, but they are expecting this thing to stay strong enough where they have extended this warning out through 5:45, and we'll keep our eyes on it as they continue to update data. We're waiting on any kind of reports of damage on the ground, or if they've been spotted any kind of tornado on the ground. As of yet, it has all just been radar indicated, but again, the signatures are strong enough that they felt that it desired or it needed to be issued as a tornado warning. And we're seeing all of the activity here, again, right in this center area. Lower Tyrone, Liberty, this whole area right in here is where we want to keep our eyes as it moves to the east towards Connellsville. Again, we've been talking about that since the very beginning. This is where it's going to end up, and it is not really weakening yet, and it's going to stay pretty strong. Again, we have to keep our eyes on the entire area, not just within this red box. That's where the tornado warning is, but all of this area inside the orange box is where we're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued, and behind that flash flood warnings. So again, while it was pretty quiet for most of the afternoon, just in about the 4:50 mark, this thing fired up and developed very, very rapidly and has produced now a storm strong enough that is indicated to be rotating, and that means the potential for development of a tornado, that it can sustain rotation and develop a tornado inside that storm. And that's why the National Weather Service issued that the first tornado warning at about 5 to 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, and that has now been extended out to 5:45, again on a path toward Connellsville, Dunbar area. So again, if you are in the path of that storm, if you have not yet taken shelter, you do want to take shelter because the radar indicated rotation. Even if you don't get a tornado overhead, we are looking at strong gusty winds. I mean, we're talking very strong winds, especially since the storm itself is moving at about 25 miles per hour. Once, if you get a collapsing thunderstorm, you can end up with 50, 60, 80 mile per hour winds out of that kind of significant activity. And so definitely you want to take shelter either in a basement, interior rooms, away from windows. Those are your recommended areas when you get these kind of thunderstorms headed your way, or especially when you have a tornado warning like has been issued for this thunderstorm here near Connellsville. And it started way back out here to the west near Brownsville. That tells you how quickly it has moved, considering that was barely 30 minutes ago, and it's moved from near Brownsville, already now intruding on Connellsville. Again, this is probably now on the outer edge of Connellsville, so if you're in that area, you are going to get the brunt of this storm. Keep our eyes. If you are seeing anything in that area, if you have seen anything in that area, please give us a shout at the newsroom. Make sure you report that to the National Weather Service. Again, at this point, it has only been radar indicated, but the signatures were very, very strong that this did have the strength and the rotation to support tornado development, and that is why the tornado warning was issued. And again, the time span on that warning is to continue out until 5:45, and if they feel the need, if it continues to stay active until then, they will extend it once again. But inside that red box is the area that could be potentially threatened by a tornado if one is developed on that storm. And outside of that, we have the orange box here, which is the severe thunderstorm warning box, where you can see there's much more activity even outside of the tornado warn area here, where you could see that, again, the heavy downpours, strong gusty winds, potential for hail as this whole complex moves to the east at a rapid pace at roughly 20 to 25 miles per hour. And we are seeing, again, some development out behind that, but this isn't showing nearly as strongly as the main complex we're watching here south of Mount Pleasant and moving into the Connellsville area. Let me take you again. We'll move to a slightly different view, and we'll show you how the whole thing is moving. There it is there again. Kind of a thin line here, but look how strong this area right here got from being pretty sporadic and kind of ragged, and it put itself together in a rapid pace right here and moved in. And again, that's why they pushed out the tornado warning for this area right in here as that moves to the east, feeding on that warm and humid air as it moves out of the Uniontown and towards Connellsville. And again, that storm is strengthened. I wouldn't say it's strengthening. It strengthened rapidly, but it has not dropped in strength yet over the last half an hour. So we're keeping our eyes on that very, very closely. Again, we'll show you the areas that are inside the severe thunderstorm warning box. As far north here, Mount Pleasant area, Bullskin here, Salt Lick here, and here is the area where the tornado warned storm is continuing to push to the east. Now, let me zoom in here really closely here to get an idea of what's going on inside the storm. It looks like it has weakened a little bit here, but it is still quite strong in this core area. We've got to keep our eyes on it as it moves in on Connellsville. And as I repeat, if you were in those areas, don't mess around with these storms, because we've actually seen a lot of tornadoes already get confirmed over the last couple of weeks, and so we'll keep our eyes on this. The conditions were ripe for it today. We did have a first alert weather day already indicated for today, and this is why, because these areas are showing the conditions for strong development this afternoon and early into the evening, strong enough now where we have had this tornado warning issued for this storm moving in on Connellsville, South Connellsville. You're right on the edge of it. Dunbar, you're probably just on the outer edge of what is going to be the core of the storm. We have to keep our eyes on that, but it's going to be this area right here along the highway moving into Connellsville, where we're picking up that motion to the east with the strong winds. And of course, what we have is that tornado indication, or it's going to be rotation indicated, tornado warn indication in that storm. The National Weather Service did issue that tornado warning just before 5 o'clock at about 4:55 this afternoon. Now, as we make our way through the next 15-20 minutes, again, if you were in these areas near Connellsville or anywhere to the east of Connellsville, this storm has not weakened. You want to make sure you are in a safe place in your home. If you have a basement, you definitely want to go ahead and take shelter down there. If you do not, again, interior rooms, away from windows. Do not stand next to windows with the phone trying to record video. That is not a good place to be. You do not want to be near windows. Interior rooms, we're talking bathrooms, great places to be. Interior closets, away from exterior walls, are places where you want to be. And again, the best place is down in a cellar type area or a basement. And this has now moved in directly over Connellsville and still looking quite strong at this time. Now, I'm going to back out just a little bit and take a look at the entire storm and its complex, see how things are looking. Yeah, it's still looking quite strong. It is very well put together. Back behind it, we're starting to see weakening back in here, but the core of the storm itself is staying well put together. So there's no reason to think this is going to end before it gets to you. If you're on the east side of Connellsville, you definitely want to still take shelter there. This thing is moving along at a pace that'll have it covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time, again at 20 to 25 miles per hour to the east. And again, the warning itself issued until 5:45, but that's just their best guess. They have already extended the warning once, and there's no reason to think they won't do it again if it continues to hold itself together right here as it moves to the east on its way toward the higher ridges here off to the south and east of Pittsburgh. But again, there's more than just this going on. I'll back out anywhere back in here. Look at the amount of rain we're seeing back behind this big storm, Blanesburg. You can see here near Waynesburg, heavy rain. These blue areas here, those are flash flood warning boxes because of the heavy amount of rain, and they have not really moved to the south. So it's not quite training, but they are not moving north to south very much, and you're getting heavy amounts of rain in short periods of time back behind this main storm. So there is more going on than just a tornado warning, but again, a tornado warning is the highlight for right now. If you're in these areas around Connellsville, you definitely want to go ahead and take shelter in those safer parts of your houses as we watch this thing move to the east. Mount Pleasant to the north, you're just coming out of it here. We're going to keep our eyes, again, if you have seen any damage, definitely be sending pictures our way back after you. Again, you want to wait until it's well past you, and then, you know, send any pictures of damage here so we have an idea of any road that are being covered by debris. Anything that power lines, stay away from those, but definitely you want to report those to keep drivers safe. But as far as the strength of the strongest storm, the one that we have had the tornado warning for, it is right here, centered as of a few minutes ago, right on top of Connellsville and moving to the east. And again, it is not weakening, not by any stretch. We're seeing very deep reds, heavy convection in that area, and movement to the east that has it at a pace where it is traveling very quickly. So just because you're out here far enough to the east, in matters of 10, 15, 20 minutes, it'll cover that ground and be right on top of you. So you want to make sure you are in those safe areas now, again, and get into the lower areas of town. Again, if you have a basement, interior rooms, those are the places you want to be, away from windows. I cannot stress that enough. Too many people with their phones trying to get good video. Don't do that. be safe, stay away from the glass, and move down low into your homes, or again, interior rooms without windows. Let's take you to a slightly different view. Again, we're going to back out. I'm going to put this into motion so you can see how the whole complex is moving and the speed at which it is moving, which is actually pretty impressive. And you can see how the development of that storm began really around 4:30. It started off as very little, just some kind of garden variety thunderstorms here. And then right as we hit 4:30 going into the 5 o'clock hour, this storm put itself together in rapid fashion and developed enough intensity that it began to rotate. And then that's when you get the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning, again, because the radar can pick up motion inside the storm. Whenever you start picking up rotation, if it's strong enough, you can end up developing a funnel that can be strong enough to reach the ground, and thus why they have issued that tornado warning that's inside that red box here. The orange box, severe thunderstorm warning. So even if you're not inside the red box, that does not mean you will avoid any kind of damage. We could have strong gusty winds. Kind of the one thing you want to be aware of on some of these with the severe thunderstorm was if you end up getting a collapsing storm, which is a strong storm that starts to end its life cycle, it can collapse. That means strong down rushes of wind, and you can get very, very damaging winds out ahead or outside of the storm. So anywhere inside those orange boxes or areas, you need to be very, very mindful of what is going on in your area, especially, again, inside the red box where we are seeing the tornado warning. We're going to put this back on the live radar. And again, I just want to repeat, we're in a temporary studio, so I'm just kind of making hay. We're inside on a laptop, so you have to forgive how slowly this is going, but you can definitely still pick up how active this storm is now moving a little bit east. Connellsville starting to hit the back edge of that. So again, notice how quickly this thing is moving to the east. So we're picking up these areas now east of Connellsville. You are on up next, and this is not weakened very much at all. So we're still have the deep, deep red indicators here of strong, strong convection. They have not killed the tornado warning at all. They have not changed the expiration date of the warning at all. So these areas out in front, you need to be very, very mindful. Start taking cover if you haven't already. You can see now over here to the east, we're picking up the outer edges of what you did go through Bullskin here, and we're seeing heavy, heavy rain from that as well. So whether it is the tornado warning, whether it is going to be the severe thunderstorm warnings, or even the potential for flooding, which are those areas back behind in the blue boxes, there is lots and lots of thunderstorm weather activity that has taken shape here over the last half hour to an hour. Again, culminating in this tornado-warned storm, which continues to move through now east of Connellsville as the heavy weather has moved through there. So we're seeing it kind of spread out a little bit. Which would tell me maybe it's starting to weaken a little bit in the middle, but still a very, very well put together storm. But you want to be mindful of that. Again, take your shelter in the lower portion of your storm in the interior rooms. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this as it moves at a pace of about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Again, give it plenty of time. Don't come out until it is well past you, because the last thing you need is to get on the backside of this and have something bad happen. This is a very, very large storm, and again, a powerful storm, strong enough that they have issued the tornado warning for you in those areas. So we're going to, again, put this into motion. Let me go to a slightly different view, give you a wider view of the area. This is not all that's going on. Wow, look at that. Even back here to the west, we're going to keep our eyes on this down south and west of Waynesburg. See this activity down here? Keep your eyes on this. This is showing strong, strong development down here as well. Again, they haven't issued a severe thunderstorm warning on that storm yet, but that would not surprise me to see a warning issued for some of this other activity that is happening out here to the south and west of Waynesburg. Waynesburg itself in some heavy rain right now, but again, strong development in this warm and unstable air to the point where we're seeing heavy, heavy weather out on this leading edge with multiple different complexes behind it. Again, the red box here, that is where we are seeing our tornado warning here, and the orange box is the severe thunderstorm warning box. And I'm going to see if I can get some updates that are coming over the wires here now. Yes. So I've got, of course, Trey, who is our severe thunderstorm specialist here, telling me that we had a nice wall cloud near Brownsville. So yeah, we are getting reports that we did have a wall cloud, and that was right back when the tornado warning was initially issued. So again, all of the indicators were there for a tornado warning. And it was issued. Give the National Weather Service credit. They saw it, they issued it, and now we're tracking it as it moves to the east, now coming in out of the Connellsville area. The good news is the central core of this doesn't seem as intense as it was a little bit ago. That doesn't mean it is not capable of maintaining a tornado if one was on the ground, but it is showing me that it is starting to weaken a little bit as it spreads out a little bit here, so to keep our eyes on that. But again, that is not the only story going on right now, because there are multiple complexes of storms, heavy storms extending back to the west with heavy-duty rain, where you can get strong gusty winds, potential for hail, and again, collapsing storms can kind of be that hidden danger that you want to watch for, that is not really something that is really obvious until it happens. So don't go out looking around just because you're not in these areas here. We have lots and lots of strong active weather happening in the region. All that happening south of Greensburg, right around the Connellsville area. Moving to the east, and again, more storms out to the west of there, West Bethlehem, right on the outer edge. Waynesburg, you've been dealing with heavy-duty weather here for a little while, which is why we have the blue box, which is the flash flood warnings, because these storms have been moving mostly west to east while also being configured in a west to east fashion, which means lots and lots of rain falling in very, very short fashion. And that can mean you get localized flooding in those areas that just kind of bruise up out of nowhere on top of you. So we're watching this area here. This is red box, is the tornado warning box. It has started to shrink a little bit. We're talking about the tornado warning box itself. It was much wider about 20 minutes ago. It extended well back here to the west. So they're really tracking this thing and adjusting the tornado warning area. Starting to look a little more ragged here, which is good, but we're still picking up strong indications of convection in these areas up here that we'll have to keep our eyes on. But you are definitely noticing less intensity in some of these areas here. But again, stay in shelter. If you were in these areas out here east of Connellsville now, heading toward Salt Lake here, Seven Springs out here far enough to the east, we'll keep our eyes on this as it progresses. Again, no indications yet of an actual tornado on the ground. All of this has been radar indicated. We'll wait for actual severe storm spotter reports to come into the National Weather Service. They will hit those, get those out to us as we make our way through the next half hour and hour as those reports come in. But we are definitely seeing strong activity with this area out here to the east now, having exited Connellsville and we're moving eastward toward Seven Springs. So that's where the strongest of our activity is here. Well, I just want to, again, we'll drop back a little bit here and get a kind of a more of a bird's eye view, because you don't want something to sneak up and develop that you weren't looking because you're focused on only one thing. And yeah, we have multiple different complexes of heavy rain and thunderstorms. The blue box is indicating where areas that have had heavy rain, and enough to where they've issued the flash flood warnings, not just watches. These are warnings which tell you that enough rain has fallen in a short enough period of time where flash floods are possible, and not only that, can actually be likely. So we're going to keep our eyes here on the strongest convection, this area right in here. We're seeing the tornado warning box. Yeah, it looks like it's weakening just a little bit here, which is good news for us here. But again, we may not be out of this yet, because again, we have multiple storms. We're keeping our eyes on back to the west, and I'm still waiting on an update here to see from the National Weather Service. This will probably They'll probably let this expire, would be my guess, in about 7 minutes, because it's issued until 5:45. But again, the thunderstorms themselves remain very strong, which is why you have the orange box, which is the severe thunderstorm warning itself. And that still gives you the areas where you can pick up damage, strong gusty winds, potential for hail, and of course, plenty of lightning and heavy downpours in those areas as well. And now I'm trying to get some updates here on my phone. We are seeing, again, strong winds. Oh, I'm looking at pictures now. I'll get these over. Yeah, we'll get these over to the newsroom here with the wall cloud. This is Trey sending us in from one of our storm spotters out there of the wall cloud. That was from back farther to the west when this storm first began. But this area here is where the core of the storm remains. I do believe this is probably going to expire at 5:45, which is about 6 minutes from now. But again, that does not mean there is no severe weather. It just means a tornado, the ability to maintain a tornado with rotation is probably going to wane over the next 15 minutes or so. But that does not mean that damaging conditions are done by any stretch, because these remain strong, active storms, and it's not just one. There are multiples of them lined up well back to the west, so multiple areas. You need to keep your eye on your radar. Stay safe and keep watching these as these move to the east. Again, if you're out driving around these areas where the blue boxes are, there are flash flood warnings out. Do not drive through moving water or even what looks like standing water. Believe it or not, it only takes a couple of inches of quick moving water to displace a car. It does not take very much, so don't be a victim out there driving around in areas where you're seeing moving water across roadways. That can be just as deadly. Coming from somebody who used to do this job in the desert Southwest where you get flash floods regularly, it does not take very much moving water to move a vehicle, and that can be a very, very dangerous thing, just as dangerous as anything else out there. One of the things that people kind of discount when you see these heavy storms going on. So again, red box here, that is your tornado warn area. The orange box, your severe thunderstorm warning area. This red box is expected to expire at 5:45. We'll keep ourselves updated on that, and I don't think they have changed the expiration time on that yet. Nope, it is shrinking. They're actually shrinking that box here, and let's see what the latest is. Yep, they still have it out until 5:45, and approaching again the Seven Springs area, which is out here to the east. You can see Somerset there, and it is looking a little less well put together. We are still picking up pockets of very heavy convection in and around these areas. So you want to keep an eye on these, because what you can get, as I mentioned before, as these storms collapse, what can happen is they collapse and you get an onrush of wind, and you can actually get more severe weather out ahead of them. You can get what we call gust fronts, which happen out of collapsing storms. So you just want to be very, very aware and watch for areas like this. If this radar here area, see this area here, when it starts to bow, that usually is an indication that winds are pushing that along, and you get some pretty heavy gusts out ahead of these areas. So it's something, again, if you didn't know what you were looking for, wouldn't be very, very clear to you, and that's why I'm kind of pointing some of these areas out. So just because you have a storm that looks like it's losing strength doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential to cause strong winds, bring down trees, power lines, things like that. Because there are lots of different ways they can create devastating conditions out ahead of them, including the strong gusty winds, especially considering the amount of rain that has fallen already today. It takes very little at this point, not much wind, and everything has a lot of leaves on them. You can get trees come down over power lines, trees come down over houses, over roads, and you just want to be very, very careful of that all across the region right now. Again, as we have seen this outbreak of very, very active thunderstorms across the region. Well to the south of Pittsburgh, we're seeing this entire area going all the way back into southeastern Ohio, into the Waynesburg area, into Uniontown, right down here along the border. More active weather down here to the south. But again, this tornado warn area that was issued now just under an hour ago, I believe, again, this is set to expire in about 2 minutes, but we're going to have to keep our eyes on these areas out ahead of it, which can feed on the weakening storm here. You can actually take energy from here, push it out ahead, and you can actually see the development of storm out ahead of it. So we'll have to watch these areas very closely, and that's where the National Weather Service has its eyes as they watch some of these storms out ahead of this weakening storm back in here, but still very strong. But not as strong as it was we'll call it 20 minutes ago to a half an hour ago, when it was strong enough to have that initial tornado warning issued, again, for radar indicated rotation, strong enough where it had the potential to produce not only a funnel cloud, but a funnel cloud that can reach the ground, which is by weather terms is what is a tornado, a funnel cloud on the ground. So we're seeing this weaken a little bit here. We'll keep our eyes on that again. About 1 minute until that expires. But again, that is not the only story happening, as plenty of rain has come down with flash flood potential. If you're watching down here, southeastern portion of Ohio is Rich Hill. You can see down here Waynesburg down here. We are seeing heavy rain. Watch this blue box. I guarantee you, this blue box is going to get moved to the south and east because of the heavy amounts of rain that are falling in those areas back behind this initial blast of severe thunderstorm complex right out here, now approaching Seven Springs. And yeah, so this is continuing to move to the east, red box here. This is the core of the storm that produced yeah, there it is. Now you can see the red box has disappeared, so they've let that tornado warning expire. We're going to keep you updated on this. We're going to take a break, catch my breath, and we'll move on with our news.